Beat myself up from eating lunch. Well, all right, guys, welcome back to CobraVids. We just got back from going to town to get this stuff. So, Motorcraft brand filter, so you know I'm working on my Mustang or my F-150. I would normally bought the Motorcraft oil, but they didn't have any full synthetic like I used to use for my Triton F-150 that my wife rolled. And if you didn't see that video, it's up on my YouTube channel. I suggest you go check it out. It was a pretty sad day. But anyway, we've got full synthetic oil for the truck, the new 2013. The Ecoboost engine takes a FL500S. I don't know what the S stands for. Maybe, I don't know. Go figure. Okay, so this engine takes 6 quarts. There's 5 quarts in these big jugs, and this is 1 quart. I almost bought two of these because it's cheaper to buy another one of these than 5 of these. Like $20 cheaper. But since I'm not going to be changing this for, between 5 and 10,000 miles, I decided to just go ahead and buy just one. So anyway, yeah, I have some left over from my F-150. I think it's a half a jug because it took 7 quarts, but it's 520 and this here takes 530. So that's it. So anyway, on my way home from getting the oil, I was in my Mustang. She's back under the cover right now. I had to go get it inspected to renew the registration on it because I want to continue driving and I don't want to get pulled over. And when I was driving along, I saw something on the side of the road and I had to stop. Here's the video. Hey guys, I was out here driving and I saw this little guy. He was trying to get away. Oh yeah, look at the little scared little turtle. I'm gonna put him over here. So look at him. He's so scared. He was out on the main road. So we're gonna set him over here. Hopefully he does good. Take care, little guy. So as you could see, I couldn't let that little guy cross that street, and he was all sucked into his shell. So he looked like he was scared. So he was alive. I saw him moving. So hopefully where I put him, it was like way down the embankment. So hopefully he gets back in the trees where he belongs and he's safe and he lives a long, healthy life as turtles do. So anyway, here we go. Bam! Here we go. Okay, so here's the F-150. You've seen this on my channel before, and it is getting filthy. I've been driving the hell out of it, using it for what a truck is meant for. But what we got to do is we got to get in here and pop the hood. So for those of you that follow my channel, and I hope if you don't follow my channel, that you at least subscribe and help me out there so that we reach more viewers like you guys. But for those of you that have followed my channel, you knew that I was dealing with a major oil leak in the back. It was actually 2 different things leaking. We changed the vacuum pump, which is mounted to the back of the passenger side head, and the leak slowed down. It wasn't as intense, but it was still leaking. So I tracked it down to the valve cover. I tracked it down to this valve cover that they said they changed the valve cover gasket on, and they did. It was a new gasket, but the person that did it was actually inexperienced at working on cars, because what he did was, as he was putting the valve cover in, and as those that have done valve covers before, sometimes on these engines, you have to rub up against things, trying to work it in, because it's just a tight area. Well, the back of the valve cover gasket in that upper corner had rolled, and when they clamped it down, it was twisted, and it was twisted up on this side, and it cracked the inner wall of the valve cover and warped. When they tightened it down here, it was rolled in the center. So when they tightened it down there, it bowed it, so it would never seal again. So I had to buy a brand new valve cover. It was like $200 to buy just the valve cover. I bought it factory. That was the only one I could find. And the only one in the entire Texas, Louisiana area. All across Texas, this was the only one. So it was meant for me. But anyway, let's get to what we're actually going to do today. In this video, I'm going to show you how to check the engine compartment oils. And then in another video, I'm going to show you how to check the transmission level. And in another video, we're going to check the front and rear differentials to make sure that the fluids are where they are supposed to be. I have not done that yet. And the tranny, I think it might be a little low because at times when I go to accelerate, it kind of like hesitates a little bit. But it might be the high mileage on this truck. I'm not sure. But anyway, okay, so in all of the F-150s that I've ever seen and worked on, they have a nice little gauge here that right here is the cold fill area. And when your engine is very cold or not warm or sitting for a while, room temperature, whatever, the water level should be in here. I have actually filled this up, and I don't know if you can make it out, but it's just above the bottom line. So I've got a water leak. So I've got to track that down soon as well, but it's very, very slow. This is like probably 2,000 miles worth, and it's just now down to the bottom of the safe line. So I'm going to have to put a little bit of distilled water in here just to top it off. And that's how you check the water in your engine. This is the 3.5, the V6, Ecoboost turbo, all that jive. And something else is you want to make sure that it is not dirty water that is in here. And you could tell, you might be able to tell, it's not dirty. It's actually pretty clean. It's just a little low, but it's definitely clean, and it's definitely antifreeze. So we're good there. Okay, so this is the brake fluid, and as you can see, it is pretty dark. So very soon I might have to change this out because as you can see, it is dark. It should be pretty damn clear in there, and it is not. So I may be doing a video on how to flush your brake lines out. All it has to do with is removing what's in here, refilling it, and then bleeding off your brakes until clean fluid comes out. And there's a special pattern to do it because you always want to start with the wheel that's furthest away from the reservoir. And that is commonly the rear passenger side, sorry. That's commonly the furthest away from it. Okay, so what other fluids are here? Well, the washer fluid, that really is self-explanatory. We don't have to get into the detail of that. The oil filter, or the oil dipstick, is right down here. God, I hope that sun's not preventing you from seeing this. But here's the dipstick. Let me get a rag and we'll pull that out. No matter how old or dirty an engine is, I always try to do things in the most cleanest way. And when I look at this dipstick, right, the oil is pretty dirty. It could actually go a little longer, but I don't know how long it's been since I really can't trust the place I bought this truck from. I gotta go with my gut, and my gut says change it. Let me wipe it off, re-pull it out, and show you where the oil level's sitting. All right. As you could see, it's just below the last line here. I checked this about 1,000 miles ago, and it was right dead center. So what that's telling me is either I'm at an incline or I've got an oil leak still. And let's go underneath because I'm going to show you where I suspect that it's leaking. Alrighty, well, we are here under the truck now, and you could see that I got a little bit of dripping right there. Okay, if my oil leak was completely solved, I would not have any dripping right there whatsoever. So what that tells me is I've got a very slow leak of the rear main seal. Now, I mean, it could be the rear of the oil pan leaking, but with it up here, I don't know. I just see it leaking out there and kind of running back to this area here through gravity. So that, I really seriously think that it is the rear main. My plans on this truck is to remove the engine and change all the seals on the entire engine because there's a couple that are starting to seep. It's a high mileage engine, so I am ready to get it changed. So that's where I think my oil's leaking out. It's a very, very slow leak, so I'm not going to really be too concerned about it. As you can see, no oil is even falling on the ground, so there's no oil actually dripping. It's just seeping out and probably running off when the engine is running and going down the road. So, all right. And we come back here. I'm going to look at this here. What do you see there? We see wetness, a little dampness here. It's a little oily. So the transfer case might be leaking a little bit, and we're going to have to really look at that. Four-wheel drive out here is very, very important to have. Then again, it might be that the engine oil was splashing back here when it was leaking really bad because it was dripping. I would have like a dinner plate size puddle under my engine every time I looked under here. So that might be something that's happening, is it's blowing back because it would come back the oil pan or the tranny pan here, and it would come back and splash up against here. It doesn't look like it's really wet. It looks like it's just been wet. So I'm going to keep an eye on that. But checking the oil in the transmission is really going to determine if we do have a transmission leak. So that's for another video. So stay tuned. It will pop up very soon. I had to pause to go grab my cup of coffee. All right, well, this here is a 15 millimeter. That's the drain plug for the oil pan. And I like how it's at the very back. That's actually kind of cool. This is the first oil change I've done on this truck. So, all right, since I'm not Mr. Talented, I need both hands to break this loose. And always remember, if you need a little bit more leverage, you could take and interlock another wrench like that, and that will give you twice the leverage on that bolt. Most of the time you don't need that unless you go to Walmart or any of those other quick oil change places. Then they'll Gorilla tight them on there because, you know, those teenage kids there, they have something to prove. Well, great. I don't think they took it to Walmart because this was a very reasonably tight bolt. All right, so I know there's a lot of debate on how to take off an oil drain bolt. Well, I'm going to show you the way I do it. I might have to modify it because of the transmission lines and everything. But what I do is I first just bring it out a little bit. And when I'm thinking it's going to pop out of there, you never want to just let it fall out because then it falls down in your oil pan and, you know, you got to go fish it out. So what I'll do is I'll hold my hand as far above the bolt as possible, and right when it's going to pop out, what I like to do, let's see if I could do it. But now that I'm here going to show you guys, I'm probably going to get it all over myself. Okay, got a couple more threads to go. All right, okay, one more thread to go. All right, okay, she's ready to pop out of here now. So what I'll do is I'll bring it out till it starts to drip. Okay, and I'll leave the bolt on there and just slowly bring it out. That way there it doesn't gush, doesn't get all over the place, doesn't scare the living shit out of me. And I'll just drain it off until my bolt is out. I can move it to the side. And voila. No mess, guys. Look at that. I did it really, really good. Yeah, that oil looks pretty sad, man. It doesn't look good. So I'm glad that I'm getting it changed right now. So I usually use a big, tall steel pan, but I don't know where that one's at. Couldn't find it. So I had to use our automotive drain pan here. And it's going to fill up. It's going to fill up. So I'm going to have to pull it out of here, drain it, and then get the rest out of here. I'm going to plug it back up. All right, we're going to let it drain, and we'll be right back. You hear that? Pretty much nothing. That's why I love it out here. Alrighty, folks. So after lunch and about a week of waiting, it is all done now. Well, it's dribbling out. If we waited for that to stop, we would be changing the oil next week. So I'm going to go ahead and get the drain plug back in here. See how nice and clean my hands are? What happens is when you do things the right way, not the wrong way. Okay, so I snug that up. I'm going to grab a clean rag here. Let's move the can out of the way so I don't drop my rag in it. And these areas that were covered in oil when I fixed the oil leak, I'm going to wipe them down a little bit. Oops. Wipe down a little bit here. Okay, all right. So now I'm going to get my 15 milli. I'm going to give it a good snug. Good snug. Like I said, we're not going to gorilla torque it. I'm 46 years old. I have nothing to prove. I've already proven it. No matter how hard you try, you can't stop getting older. If I've tried, you know what, guys, it don't work. Every day I look at myself in the mirror, man, I realize I failed that mission. But all right, so that's that. Now all we have to do is we have to get the oil filter. Where the hell is that thing? All right, well, I'm going to put this on pause while I search for that oil filter because I have no idea. But once I find it, I'll definitely show you guys. Well, all right, guys. Well, I found that pesky oil filter. I'm going to need one of these guys. You know, ever since I was a young boy working on cars with my dad all the way up until today, I have never used an oil filter wrench. I've just grabbed onto it and spun it off. Well, this one is in such a spot that I can't do that. It's right down here. Let me see if I can get a good view of it. You see that K&N filter right there? Let me move my finger out of the way. There you go. It's right down in there. I tried to grab onto it and I couldn't do it, and I can't get down. I can't get to it from below because I'd have to remove that guard down there. So this is how I'm going to have to do it. I'll have to use a wrench. How does this work? That's weird. That's weird. I've never used one. I just realized that when I was going to my garage to grab it, I have never used one. Huh. Well, first time for everything. I'll get it set up on there and then I'll show you how I had to do it. Okay, back to the drawing board. This oil filter wrench is way too big for this little V6 oil filter. So what we're going to do is we're going to get these babies down there and we're going to grip the tooth area and we're going to cross our fingers that we're going to be able to loosen it up with the channel locks. These are very large channel locks and it's opened up as far as that jaw will go. So let's see if we have any luck. Well, okay, guys. I'm going to have to take that back about gorilla torquing. Look at what it took to get this out. Wow. This thing was locked in there. I have never had an oil filter that stuck in there. Now, keep in mind, guys, when you put an oil filter on, you're supposed to just tighten it up to where it touches the metal and give it another half turn, just to where it's snug. You don't use an oil filter wrench to install an oil filter, okay? Just keep that in mind, or you're going to be having to wrestle them out like I did that. That is insane, guys. So just telling you, you don't have to get the oil filters tight like that. Just take them to where they make contact and then another half turn. That's about all it takes. And start your engine up, warm it up. If you see that it's dripping, tighten it a little bit more. But I can guarantee you, you don't have to tighten it up to where you have to destroy the oil filter to get it off. Like I said, normally my oil filters, I just remove it by hand. I just grab onto it. Takes a little bit of effort to get it going, but once it gets going. Now I wound up pulling that inspection or the skid plate down, and because I popped a hole in it, it started dribbling out here. Otherwise I would have had like I use doggy pee pads and I lay it under the filters and it captures all the oil and absorbs it very quickly. And that's usually all I need to capture the oil. It worked on my other F-150, but since this oil filter was so screwed up, I couldn't do it that way. And that's why you got all that oil caked in here, is because that's how they do all the oil changes. They just let it pour down like that, which is not really how you're supposed to do it. So now I'm going to inspect the spot where it mounts to. Let's see if I can get a good view for you guys. You see it? I can't see it. But if you could see it, yeah, right there, okay. Right there. It looks pretty good. Someone just gorilla torqued it. All right. So I'm going to wipe that down and I'm going to get the new oil filter installed. We're not going to prime this one because it's a horizontal one and the oil would just dump out. All right, guys, prior to installing your new filter, just put a little bit of oil around the seal here, and that will help keep it from sticking and creating a false seal on there. And I just usually dip it in the old oil. You know, as long as it's not full of metal shavings, you'll be all right. So, okay, we're going to get this installed. Remember, just screw it in to where it makes contact with the engine block or whatever surface it's mounting to, and about a half turn. I just noticed this little thing here, this little tray. This sits under the oil filter. This looks like it's something that's supposed to catch the spillage and pours out here instead of all over right there. So why isn't it working? I don't know. But let's investigate that. Let me turn on my light. Get up here a little bit. See if I can get up in there. Huh. I don't know. We'll have to evaluate that video and see if that's actually something. My daughter called me asking me a question about caulking. So I already poured in 5 quarts. Okay. This thing is supposed to take 6. So let's see where the dipstick's at. I already wiped it off and put it back in there. So right now it's showing way over full. But of course that's because the oil filter hasn't filled up yet. So now what I'm going to do is start up the truck, let it run a little while, and then once I think everything's pumped up, I'll check it again, top it off to where it's right in the middle, somewhere in the middle there, and then we'll call it all good. Be right back. Okay, so we went ahead and we fired it up. fired it up. We got it to where it's all pumped up. So we're going to wipe off the very, very full needle, or you know what I mean. This thing, dipstick, yeah, that's what it was. Get it back in the hole here. That's why 2 hands are better than 1. Alright, so now when we pull it out here, we're going to see that the engine is low on oil. See? It's down right at that hump there. That's because it takes 6 quarts. Sure is a thirsty bitch. Shows all that dinosaur juice. Do you know oil doesn't come from dinosaurs? That's what they taught all throughout school, or at least that's what us kids thought in school. But oil actually comes from organic material that was buried under earth for millions of years. Oh, maybe some dinosaurs were in there, but it's not dinosaurs. Okay, see where we're at. We're right at the bottom there. You see that? Right just above the bottom hole. So I'm going to go ahead and take the rest of this quart. I have a half a quart left in the truck just in case I need some more. Okay. All right, so now we'll wipe the dipstick off again and give it one more shot. See what it's going to say. Boy, I hope this is coming out on the video. The sun is kind of all in my way. All right, so now as you can see, it's right in the halfway mark. Right in the halfway mark. See where the level's at? There you go. That's where it's supposed to be. Alrighty guys, well that's going to wrap it up for the oil change on the 2013 F150 Ecoboost 3.5 V6. Boy, that's a mouthful. Alright, so we put 6 quarts exactly into the engine and it brought it up halfway. That's after draining the oil pan and removing that crazy K&N filter. Whew, what a job. I'd rather be out riding. So until next time guys, stay safe, stay free, and please subscribe, like, and ring that bell so you know when the next F-150 project is coming out to you. Catch you on the next one.